of all, thank you very much that you have trusted on me and accepted my invitation to participate into the, you can say, a subject which I am learning right now. Okay, right now I am a CFA level 2 candidate, I can say. I prepared thoroughly last year, starting from May to October. But as you know that last year, CFA Institute first cancelled June. It was good for me because I was not prepared because of some personal and professional reason. And later on, when I was almost 70-80% prepared, they announced in October, India exam cancelled because of pandemic, and now they have come with the online format, which is a computer-based exam starting this year, January, and my exam is in May. So I was thinking that yes, I am learning well, but I always share to everyone when you want to master any subject, you have to teach someone. Those who are my participant, when they will introduce, they will share that yes, KU Shah is always focused on the practical applications. And so I thought that why don't I create some kind of online training where my intention is not to earn, but to ensure that you are a disciplined learner. I need to charge something minimum. Okay, so that's the reason to ensure the discipline for next 5 days, starting from today. So I took 1,000 rupees as a you can say a token fee from you, and I'm sure that you are going to get 10x learning. Okay, definitely each one has a different level, so someone may not understand fully today, but when you work on that area, okay, go little deep through some other value-added training also, or some subject reading, you can get a my thought process. So let start with the introduction round. Okay, we have Prabhakar sir with us from Kuwait. Welcome, Prabhakar ji.
Thank you.
So I request you can start with let me start with your introduction, so all of us will get inspiration to learn more as a, you can say, participant.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Basically, I'm a finance professional. I'm based at Chennai, but now I am working in Kuwait in an oil and energy-based company at Kuwait. I'm working as a finance manager in a company called Petroleum Coke Industries. We manufacture calcium petroleum coke. And basically, being a finance professional, all these days I've been to corporate finance. Now I want to become more familiar with personal finance planning, various areas which I ignored for long. So that's the reason why I'm pursuing now the CFP course. I've been with our own KU Shah ji for the last 3-4 months, and I've been going through the digital course. So now I'm joining this course, Portfolio Management. Basically, portfolio management, as I understand, is you will be diversifying your risk instead of putting all eggs in one basket, as they say. So instead of putting all investments in one particular either share or in particular one investment, one portfolio, you diversify your risk by investing in various baskets. So that's what I understand from portfolio management. So I look forward to the course for the next 5 days. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so sir, may I know what is your one biggest investor mistake you think right now?
The mistake I did is the same thing. I invested mostly in real estate in my last 25 to 30 years of my career. I didn't give much attention to investing in other portfolios like shares, mutual funds, and other things. I've been only to real estates mostly, yes, 90%.
I understand.
That's a mistake I made.
Okay. So I am very happy that Prabhakar ji having a qualification like CA, CMA, okay, MBA, Okay, I think you are CA from UK also, na? If I'm right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
30 years of experience as a very senior professional, is a chief financial officer with leading company. Now you understand, I'm taking little discussion right now for next 10-15 minutes in a different direction, which can set a good basically learning experience for next 4-5 days. Okay, so even though he is a very seasoned finance professional, but he ignored the personal finance and he realized the mistake today at age of 50 plus. So it is not like that someone who is into corporate finance or into finance qualification like CA, CMA, okay, or CS, or maybe even MBA finance investment banker may not be having a good command on the personal finance because it is not covered in the our their curriculum. Okay, good, very good. So Mahesh ji, let second senior
Yes, sir.
professional.
Okay. So, hi all. Good evening, Keur sir, and wish you happy New Year to all of you.
Same to you.
My name is Mahesh Kavre. I had been associated with Keur sir since October 2015, and I had completed my CFP in March 2016. All this while, I had worked with various broking companies, namely Motilal Oswal, then JM Financials, Reliance Money, Aditya Birla Money. JM Financial was my last working company, and I was working there as a regional head for franchisee business for West region. So apparently, after doing completing CFP in 2016, it was an kind of interaction with Keur sir. I always used to feel that I'm not doing justice to my potential and whatever I had learned with Keur Shah sir. That is like working in corporate. You're working in some particular segment, and it is not uh, giving you fulfilling experience or exposure. So I mean this 2020 Corona time, I had taken that bold decision of starting of my own practice of financial planning, financial advisory, and all. So since July 2020, I had started this, and right now I'm managing nearly 40 families. So in a short span of time, I could achieve a good number of people, although they were some or the other way my acquaintance or through references, but I am now getting new clients also as a part of reference. So really very happy that I had started this thing. Otherwise, I would have missed a good I mean good experience, good exposure. So that's that's about me. And regarding my one financial mistake, being in markets for last 20 years, I had not done the very important basic thing, like I had not started early. Okay, the SIP and investments and all. I never started. I used to start and I used to do some trading. I used to do some SIP or 1-2 year, and then I used to uh, exit those things. So since after doing CFP, and now I'm consistent with my say monthly SIP and all this. So that is something not starting early. It's a very cliche word, but then I realize the importance now. Had I started some more, say 5, 7 year, 10 year earlier, then I would have been a better position today.
Good. Thank you very much, Mahesh ji, for coming and sharing your story with us. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Arshad ji from Pune.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Keyur sir, and all. My name is Bus. I have done MBA Finance, and I have close to almost 17 years of corporate experience working with domestic companies like Venky's, Bajaj, MNCs like Merck, and currently I'm working with a private limited company, SKD Industrial Consultants here in Pune. Uh, Keyur sir, I listened first 5 years back almost into, and he is a wizard in financial planning. His domain is very strong, and it's always good to because after listening him, it brought all good value addition. Uh, which helped in making good decisions like increasing SIPs. And my mistake, like I started my investments very late, to be honest. I mean, I started it post of my 30 age. Even my first LIC and first SIP, and initially even first one two good SIPs, which were there, I stopped. Like uh, asset, and thereafter I continued in last 4 5 years. Now I am sustainably continuing. It's always good that few good knowledgeable people like here also, many diversified professionals came across on the platform of Keyur Shah sir. Last time also we had Ankit Savla and Gautam Chawla ji. So in that hope to gain good knowledge of portfolio and various aspects of investment. That is the purpose of joining here.
Good. Thank you very much, Sai Krishna.
Yes, very good evening to one and all. So, a brief introduction is about myself is I am a student of Kershaw ji. That is the first starting introduction I would like to give, and I also am a continuous learner. And what Kershaw ji always tells, learning, relearning, and unlearning. This fundamental principle I always follow. And talking about myself, I have around 12 years experience in financial advisory services. I have diverse experience in insurance, financial planning, both offline and even online, the robo advisory platform. And then now I'm working for a private bank in the wealth management vertical. So it's been a very diverse experience, and I'm also a certified financial planner by the astute ages of Kershawji's guidance. I have completed my CFP in 2014 via video learning from Chennai, and then now basically I am put up at Hyderabad. So I have no regrets in everything that I did, and I also doing now professionally and personally. But one thing, talking about the mistake as an investor, that is a key takeaway I would like to share with you all is, like, I have started very early. Like most often than not, we hear that we do not start early. But in my case, I was hardly around 23 or 24, and that is the time I suggested financial products to my clients, and I also practice it because I always believed we have to walk the talk, we have to set the example. But the only thing is, I couldn't keep up the tempo due to several reasons: the lack of earnings, or the lack of surplus, or whatever. But I could not sustain the tempo. But right now, I'm practically implementing and ensuring that, as it is said, systematic investments should also be continuous in nature, no matter what. But we should always try to keep up the tempo. And secondly, I would like also professionally, share with you one experience is, like, most of the clients in our endeavor in different states with the companies, we have a scenario wherein the clients are orphaned, and it gives me a lot of pain that these clients are orphaned, and there is no such platform that when we go into the organization, we we always have to manage the conflict of interest, which has been a very great challenge, and still I'm unable to find the right solution. But hopefully in the near future, I will find a solution. So this is about me briefly, and it's a wonderful experience as always with Kershaji, and looking forward for a great learning from all of you seasoned players, and also from our Guru Sri Kershaji. Yeah,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome, sir.
Sagar, Sagar,
Yeah, sir. Hello.
yes, yes. Please,
Yeah, good evening all. So
good evening.
I'm
Good evening.
I joined Kevisha on 2014, I think. So after that, it was a great journey learning with Kevisha regarding the CFP. So my current background is I'm working in an IT company, IT software company. So I have around 13, 14 years experience in BFSI domain. So I was associated with the investment around since 2005, 6. So from that, just wanted to just saw the share market investments and all that things. So but I didn't found the right path to how to invest and all that things. So in between that struggling, which is the right way, and also during that attended various you know share market courses and all, but I didn't get any value from it. So during my search, I found Kevsha sir's classes. So I interacted with Kevsha sir. Sir, first day of meeting, sir told the the logical way of investments, how we should consider our investments depending on our time horizon, age, and all that. So it quickly clicked me that yeah, this is the way which I'm finding. So I joined. I cleared my CFP with Kevsha sir's guidance, and then currently I'm using for my knowledge base, means whatever learning I'm to expand my knowledge base, means how to apply the logical ways to our investments for our future goal based financial planning. And the one mistake I did, so I started investing, but I didn't know the how to give the exposure, how much weightage we need to give to a specific investment. Like if we are 10 shares for portfolio of 10 shares, so how much weightage we need to give for each share. So basically what our mind goes is that if share price is small, like say 50-60 rupees, then we tend to give more exposure to that. Keep in mind that that share will increase highly, and then we will get a high return, and we tend to give a small exposure to the higher value shares like TCS, Infosys, or other things, because due to the higher price we thought that it might be not will give a higher return in future. So I think that approach was not logical approach. So want to know that we need to give the proper exposure, how to plan that, and then we build a proper risk balance portfolio. So that is my target or my thought to attend this class.
Tarun, are you comfortable? Thank you, Sagar.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable to share, or shall we keep once you reach the destination in second half? I think your voice is not audible.
I'm comfortable.
Okay, then you can go ahead. Your voice is not coming. Your voice.
Is it clear now?
Yes, now it is okay.
Okay, I'm into broking industry from last 10 years. In 2019, I started my business of recruitment. So nowadays I'm recruiting from NJ Well. I'm working as an agency manager. So I'm recruiting people who want to start their mutual fund business. I'm recruiting people for Tata AI Life Insurance and Bajaj Life Insurance and Max Super Health Insurance. So I meet lot of CA, CS nowadays. So purpose of joining this course is to enhance my knowledge so that I can talk with them in their way and convince them for becoming my partner.
Good, very good. So what is your one mistake you think, investment mistake?
I started investment very late.
Okay, so late is the mistake. Okay, we'll go ahead. Somil.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I am Saumil Gosai from Vadodara. I am ICCI Direct Partner. I am fresher in financial sector. I am currently started my mutual fund distributor.
Okay, तो आपने अपना MFD किया, उसके पहले आप कुछ कर रहे थे सोमिल के?
हाँ, ट्यूशन क्लासेस थे हमारे.
ओके, आप कोचिंग कर रहे थे?
हाँ, कोचिंग में.
ओके,
अभी क्या है, पेंडेमिक की वजह से कोचिंग क्लासेस बंद है, तो सेकेंडरी इनकम सोर्सेज के लिए मैंने ये स्टार्ट कर दिया है अभी.
यस, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन करना ही पड़ेगा ना, क्योंकि
हम हस्बैंड वाइफ एक ही इनकम पे डिपेंडेंट थे. तो अभी वो एजुकेशन में अभी मैंने डाइवर्ट कर लिया है.
गुड, वेरी गुड, वाइज डिसीजन. Okay, so I thank you very much. We have 2 participants left, but I think they will join later maybe. Okay, so once again, welcome you to participate in the portfolio management based on the CFA level 2. I'll start with the screen sharing. Okay, if you wish, you can keep your camera off if you wish, if you are not comfortable. Okay, but you can keep your audio on. So in case if you want to discuss, okay, you can discuss. So is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Just 1 minute. Okay, so I'm keeping a screen such a way so I can see you. So I feel that yes, someone is listening. Otherwise, it is like that you are speaking with yourself. Okay, so now let us understand. As I said in early starting discussion that I am pursuing my CFA level 2, and I always believe in sharing my knowledge. Okay, so it helped me to retain the subject as well as to get a more detailed insight. So I'm sure that there is a lot of validation is there, but again, Somil is fresher. Okay, so chances that for him, maybe a lot of things, maybe a high level. Okay, maybe Prabhakar ji or maybe that's Mahesh ji can grasp very well because he is into distribution and broking business since long. So I'll start with right now. Okay, maybe today we'll divide our discussion into 2 parts. One part we already started at 6:55, so another 10-50 minutes Zoom will allow to continue. Then we'll take a break of 5-7 minutes, and then I'll send you second link. Okay, and then we'll connect and complete the another 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so right now for me it is not like that I have a 1 hour, so I'll close at particular point only. We will open our session at right time, but we can extend if required to have a more discussion, or even I welcome also between tomorrow to Saturday, in case if you have any query, you can discuss in 4 to 6. Okay, so let's start with the journey. CFA level 2 has a portfolio management subject, has a 6 chapter, starting with action traded fund, multi-factor model, measuring and managing risk, economics and investment market, analysis of active portfolio management, trading cost and electronic market. For your brief idea, I also mentioned CFA level 1 has a 5 CFA level 1 portfolio management has a 5 chapter starting with portfolio management overview, portfolio risk and return, basics of portfolio planning and construction, risk management introduction, and last is fintech in investment management. Okay, so now let's start with the some basic overview. Okay, so we know that what is portfolio. So portfolio is like a basket of different assets, starting from we can say equity, bond, real estate, okay, or maybe gold, etc. So why we need to invest into a portfolio? Okay, so reason is that when we construct the portfolio and invest into a basket of assets, so risk is reduced. Okay, which risk is reduced? Anyone can quick answer? Which when we construct the portfolio and invest into various assets, it is called diversification. When we do a diversification, which risk is reduced? Quick.
Systematic risk.
Concentrated risk of one particular asset.
Unsystematic risk. There are 2 types of risk. One is a systematic risk and second is unsystematic risk. So unsystematic risk is always advisable to reduce with help of the diversification, and one should only keep the systematic risk. Systematic risk is like an economy risk. Okay, our country risk. Okay, our country risk like economy risk or world risk. Okay, so that's how when we reduce the risk, we basically when we construct the portfolio, we reduce the risk, but return is optimized. I'm not saying maximize, but it is optimized. And second is the portfolio perspective. So when we have created a one diversified portfolio, and suppose if I'm adding a one new asset, let's say example, one small cap share in portfolio. So I may not think that that small cap share, okay, what is the standard deviation or what is the expected return. But I say that if I add into portfolio, and after that portfolio, what is the portfolio standard deviation and portfolio's expected return. So it is called the portfolio perspective. We know the key benefit of diversified portfolio. As I said, we reduce the or eliminate the unsystematic risk. We achieve a better risk-adjusted return. Now, those who have completed certified financial planner, they know that there are 6 steps of financial planning process. Okay, same way to construct the ideal portfolio, we need to follow the portfolio management process. So portfolio management process, which is called a investment policy statement. So first step is planning, second is execution, and third is the feedback. Now, when we construct the portfolio, I'm sure those who have watched my 10-11 minute video, which discuss in detail. Right now, I'm not going to discuss in detail. Okay, so we need to, suppose there is a one client. I say that Prabhakarji is my client. Okay, and he says that I want to construct the portfolio. Why don't you be my portfolio manager? I have an example, 1 crore rupees asset to invest, okay, into various assets. So instead of just invest in my thought process, I have to ask the questions, quantitative questions and qualitative questions. So based on the quantitative questions and qualitative questions, we decide the risk profile, or we can call it risk tolerance. And once risk tolerance is decided, then we decide the expected return. So it's exactly opposite of what we do in. We first, in real life, we expect a high return, but we don't want to want a high risk. But reality is that high risk, then high return is there. So how we can decide the risk tolerance? So I asked Prabhakarji, what is your time horizon? If time horizon is too short, then I have to invest into a debt product only. If it is a long 10-15 years, then I can allocate part of the investment into a risk asset like equity or some alternative investment fund. Second is, again, I ask important question about the L, which is a liquidity. If there is a high liquidity requirement is there, okay, to fund some other expenses, then again I have to keep investment into a debt instrument. But if client says I have a lower liquidity requirement, okay, then I can allocate more into risk asset of equity. Then another, like a taxation aspect, unique objective, what are the unique objective of the client, okay, legal aspect. So these are the quantitative questions. Then again I check the willingness and ability. So client may have a willingness, but client may not have a ability. Client is retiring, and client is expecting a systematic withdrawal from that corpus or that portfolio. Then ability is not there. Again, we have to go into the debt tilt portfolio. But client is into young age, having a high active income, okay, and client age is educated, understand the risk, okay, then we can invest into the equity or risk tilt portfolio. So I request, in case if you not watch the video, you can go through it, so we can save time right now. So we calculate the portfolio standard deviation, then we calculate the expected return from the portfolio, which is, let's say this portfolio is expected to give on average 10% per annum diversified portfolio. And then we measure whether we have achieved maybe on a 3 years, 5 year or 10 year horizon. There are various measures we know, okay, you use into mutual fund also, okay, like a Sharpe ratio, which is a risk adjusted return, trainer ratio, which is the, again, risk adjusted return. Sharpe measures the total risk of portfolio, where trainer measures only the systematic risk of the portfolio. Very interesting ratio, we'll discuss later in detail in next chapter also. Information ratio, which is an active return divided by active risk. Jensen alpha is also ratio we check, which is the fund manager's skill to generate the excess return, risk adjusted excess return over and above the given benchmark. So when we construct the portfolio, we need to make sure that it is a diversified or as per the client risk profile, as I said, quantitative and qualitative discussion, and then we decide the risk tolerance. Then we decide the asset allocation, how much into planning we did. Now execution, we decide the asset allocation, which is about the how much into debt, how much into equity, how much into real estate, etc. Okay, and then we basically review every year. So this is about the portfolio management process in brief discussion. Now, once we complete this thought process, we are moving towards the our next discussion, which is the first chapter of the CFA level 2 curriculum. Definitely, I am not going in order to make sure that you understand the practical concepts and how these practical concepts can be useful in real life to help your client to be a better advisor or better financial planner or wealth advisor for your client. Okay, so now there could be in next 5 minutes that Zoom will be disconnected, so there is no need to worry. Within 5-7 minutes, I'll again send you a second link, and then again we'll connect for the another 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. Right now, before we proceed into the our first chapters, any questions, query right now you would like to ask? Anything you have in mind? If you can keep your camera on, you can keep if it is comfortable to you. So there is no compulsion to keep off camera also. If you are comfortable, you can keep on.
We understood, sir, whatever you explained earlier.
Okay, you understood now. Okay, so now let's start with the our first chapter. And again, before we close the first 30-35 minute session, please, there is no need to worry about the time slot. If we cannot complete in 5 sessions between Monday to Friday, we'll do it on a Saturday. Okay, so make sure that my objective is that whatever I will learn, I would like to discuss with you, provided you are in a learning mode, okay, and ready to learn and discuss with me. If you have query, we'll keep some query point together, maybe 5 minutes end of the 1 hour session, or end of the every half an hour session, but we can even discuss one-to-one query between 4 to 6 also, starting from tomorrow for next 6-7 days. Okay, so now let's continue the discussion, investment, economics and investment. Why I chose the first chapter with you? Because we know that we have to always use the top-down approach. Top-down approach start with the economy, second is about the industry, and third is about the company. Okay, and that is the best approach for the long-term success as a portfolio manager or fund manager. So we know that economy, okay, we know about right now current state of Indian economy or global economy. Please understand, don't link Sensex with the economy. Economy and Sensex can be have a divergence in a short term, but in long term they are going to converge. Okay, what repeatedly Prashant Jain shared, that economy and index, equity index is like a two-wheel of the car. So there could be a divergence in a short term, but maybe 10-15 years, your nominal return of your economic growth, and if your economy is growing, let's say in last 20 years, 10% example. So it is expected that the Sensex or Nifty or NSE 500 is expected to give same 10 to 12% return only. We are not talking about this stock specific discussion. So now there is why I'm discussing that there is a strong correlation between the economy and the asset value. If economy is in good shape, asset value would be in good shape. All we can recollect with because I am also age 45, completed almost 25 years of investor experience, I can say. Okay, so in 25 years, I done investments in real estate or into equity or mutual fund. So I can, and also train also many participants. So I also know many participant experience. So we know that there was a phase from 2003-4 to 2013, almost 3 to 13, real estate was into high growth. Okay, now if you can recollect that why real estate was in high growth, because economy is also was in high growth. So now economy delivered the 10 to 12% nominal return, and GDP growth was 10 to 12% in nominal terms in 2003 to 2013. Okay, so that was the reason real estate also delivered, but chances that few real estate in area maybe delivered maybe 15-17%, some may be delivered less than that, but average return of real estate, whether it is a commercial or residential, it was between 10 to 15%. So there is a strong correlation between the economy and investment. Okay, economy we divide into two categories. One is the, we can say GDP growth. Okay, so GDP growth can be divided into two parts. One is the real GDP, real growth, and second is nominal. Now we know all you are qualified people, so nominal is arrived is like a real growth is example. In last 10 years is example I am talking 5%, and let's say inflation was also 5%, so we can say nominal GDP growth is 10%. Economic cycles, we know the graph is mentioned starting from, let's say there last year when, or you can say last year January, we started with the recession. We were entered in recession from January to March. Then from April onwards, we basically recovered. Okay, hopefully this year we can expand. Okay, so economy is always into cycle. Okay, and if I say that in past 20 years, not in short term, past 10-20 years, Indian economy example, I'm saying grown, let's say 10 to 12%. So 5% was average real growth in last 20 years, and another 5 to 7% was inflation in last 20 years. Okay, but we know all fact, everyone. I'm just discussing little different. Indian economy is cooled down in last 5 years. Okay, last 5 years specifically, real economic growth was only 2 to 3%, and another 4-5% was inflation. So total was around 7 to 8%. And now again, after Corona, we may not expect high growth economy. We can expect the moderate growth economy having a real growth of 2 to 3%, and another inflation 4 to 6%, and average 5%. So we can expect 7 to 8% expected growth in next 5 to 7 years. So there is one concept called when economy is in high growth. Okay, when economy is in high growth. Okay, so real interest rate are in high. So we know that from 2003 to 2030 Indian economy was in high growth. So we were also earning high real interest rate, maybe 2 to 3% on average. But once economy cooled down in last 5 years, our real interest rate gone down from 3% to maybe as right now 0% also. Okay, so I mentioned here that right now our real interest rate, which is an inflation adjusted interest rate, suppose it was 3% in 2015, now it is maybe 0 or negative. Again, one interesting concept says that about the positive slope versus the negative slope, and inverted slope. Okay, so when we are in recovery or expansion, right now exactly we can say we are in recovery. So our economy lower, short-term interest rate are lower, and long-term interest rate is higher. But when we entered in recession, if you exactly recollect, in calendar year 2017, we were entering into recession in Indian economy, and that's the reason you can recollect that the liquid fund were giving 6 to 7% return. Some liquid fund also gave 8-9% also return, and your long-term interest rate was lower. So we not entered in recession in 2020. We entered into the slowdown starting from 2018-19, and 20 was the technical recession because of lockdown and Corona, and now we are coming back to the again into regular format, which is a recovery and expansion. So at that time in 2018 and 19, the yield curve was negative. यानी कि yield curve was inverted, a short term interest rate high and long term interest rate low. Any question right now? Any question? I think Zoom has allowed to continue if I'm right, because almost we have completed more than 40 minutes. So if
Sir,
you,
they have changed their policy. Now you can continue, sir, for 1 hour.
I don't know.
Now you can continue for 1 hour. Sir, I have a question here.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, so actually now before 1 year back, 1.5 year back, I have put in money of my clients in liquid fund. And now they are giving 2.33% return or 3% return. As you told ki we are not in recession or we are recovering. So that means we should withdraw money from liquid fund and put somewhere else.
Now again, you have to see that ki your client is parking the money. Now please understand why you are parking money. Parking money is for short term, like contingency fund. Suppose I have advised my client to invest, example, 5 lakh rupees in contingency fund. Now that 5 lakh has to be into some cash instrument, whether it is a 1 year fixed deposit or whether it is into a liquid fund, okay, or maybe a T-bill. So that's the reason it is very important that if client objective is what, if it is a short-term investment objective, then we have to keep into any instrument which can give you a safety of principal as well as give some decent return. So
Okay,
what is the objective of client?
Sir, objective of client is they wanted to do FD, so I suggested them you go for the liquid fund. It will give you 6% return. FD was giving that time 6%. So I told them you invest in liquid fund, it will give you 6%.
But what normal distributor make a mistake, because right now it is not a session, but let me discuss with you. Okay, when we suggest any debt product, we cannot suggest the product based on the past return. In debt product, you have a YTM and you have expense ratio. So if your YTM is 5% and expense ratio is 0.5, then maybe past return could be 8%, but future return is going to be 4.5%. So suppose most of distributor specifically that sold liquid fund and debt fund in that way only, based on the 2000 calendar 17-18 high short-term interest rate. But now we know that we are into a 2020 where your YTM is 3% and expense ratio is 0.5% example, then you are going to earn 2.5%. So a client objective is to keep minimum 1 year, okay, into investment period, then he can move out from the liquid fund and park into a fixed deposit, because it gives you fixed 5% return right now example.
Okay, so it means I should have money from liquid fund.
Your voice is not audible. Your voice is not audible.
Okay, so is it clear now?
Yes, now it is audible.
Okay, so it means I have to withdraw that money from liquid fund and put it into fixed deposit.
No, I am saying that a client doesn't want this money for 1 full year, example.
Client don't need it. Client don't need it for 1 year.
1 year, then you have a fixed interest rate of 5%. Okay, but suppose client want money after, let's say 3 months, maybe not decided, maybe required, maybe not required, then client has to keep into a liquid fund, because where you can withdraw. Because even if you park in a bank FD for 1 year, and if you withdraw after 30 days, then you are going to get a saving account interest rate only, which could be 2 or 2.5% only. Okay, so you can discuss with client and then you decide whether you can park full amount or part amount. Okay, so you have to take a call on that. Okay, let's continue our discussion now. Please, we'll move into the next level discussion, which is the heart of the current topic. Now, when we have a investment assets, okay, so when we have an investment asset, okay, we divide into broadly 2 big category, 1 or 3 big category. One is the bonds, second is equities, and third is into real estate, okay, which contributes 90% of investment universe, and balance could be only a derivation of first 3 asset only. So now suppose as a portfolio manager, I have decided my client has given a time horizon of, let's say, 10 years, and client says, I want a liquidity also in my instrument, and my portfolio, where I can withdraw after 6 months part of money if required. Okay, so let's say I decided to keep 25% example into a bond fund, into a debt instrument. Now, debt instrument is also divided into two categories. One is the bond, GSEC bond. We know GSEC is known as a risk-free category, where short term is T-bill and long term is about the 1 year plus. Okay. Second is about the corporate bond. Okay, so corporate bond is again divided into two categories. One is investment grade bond, and second is non-investment grade bond. Second asset class we have. Now, please understand, bonds we can buy through various way. One can buy through mutual fund. Okay, second can buy directly by investing into a bond issue or secondary market through NSE, BSE. Okay, then there could be some portfolio management scheme is there, or some AIF, alternative investment fund, is also there. They can invest into private bond, which is called like large ticket size bond, where 1 crore, 2 crore they can invest of their client. So one can indirectly invest into through listed route, okay, through BSE, NSE listed, and second is through unlisted bonds. We call it as a private bond market. Second, same way in equity, we divide into further two category. Okay, so one category is about the investing in a, just 1 minute. So one category is investing in a equity, listed equity, and second is into private equity. So when you invest in an unlisted company, it is called private equity. Listed company, we further divide into three categories: small cap, mid cap, large cap. We can take an exposure of equity through mutual fund, ETF, portfolio management scheme, or even AIF also. And third is real estate asset. Okay, now one I would like to discuss with you important point. In foreign, if I talk from the global perspective, foreign means it is not like that commercial real estate is like a shop, and residential real estate is like a home. In global perspective, any as real estate is rented and it is generating income, it is commercial asset. Okay, and any asset is self-occupied by the owner, it is called the residential asset. So we talk about the commercial asset means commercial means that owner is generating income out of it, whether it is a home or whether it is a shop or maybe office. Now we go into the very important point to conclude, Renike, to continue our discussion. There are various methods are there to value the assets. Okay, and worldwide, most of the portfolio manager, fund manager, those who are long-term investor or long-term fund manager, not like a 6 month, 1 year aspect, 10 years, 20 years. I talk Indian perspective, the fund manager like Prashant Jain or S. Naren, they always value the asset as a present value of future expected cash flow. Because any asset, whether it is a bond, equity, or whether it is a real estate, okay, which are giving a certain or uncertain PMT, certain or uncertain future value, terminal value we call it. Okay, now when I say that present value of expected cash flow, okay, discounted at appropriate risk adjusted discount rate. More the uncertainty cash flow, the higher the discount rate. I am sure everyone is getting that important concept I am discussing.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Definitely I'll share you also this PDF file which I am sharing, so you can go through it, and if you have a question tomorrow evening, you can discuss also. So now let's start with the component of the discount rate. How to arrive the right discount rate or expected return or required return. All three name I'm using: discount rate, expected return, or I can say required rate of return is a same thing. So three component: one is the real risk-free rate, second is expected inflation, and third is risk premium. So let's say as in a long term, last 20 years, India has given a, Indian economy investor has earned average, let's say 2 to 3% real risk-free return, and real risk return. Then India was having a average 5 to 7% inflation. So that's the reason even GSEC average in last 20 years offered between 8 to 10% return. Why? Because let's say if it is an average 9% return in last 20 years, so let's say 3% was real rate of return and 6% was inflation. Or in US, if last 20 years average GSEC gave return of, let's say 3%, so 1% was real rate of return and 2% was inflation. And we know that in GSEC risk premium is 0, because we know that there is no credit risk in the GSEC. So here I give one simple example. In simple example, it says that suppose if I invest, I'm a portfolio manager and I'm planning to invest into a GSEC T-bill. T-bill is like a zero coupon bond. And risk, I as a portfolio manager, I expect a risk-free real rate of return is 1.5%, and I as a portfolio manager expect a inflation is 4%. This is consensus. It is not about Keyur Shah, a portfolio manager. It is about the consensus of the portfolio manager. Average expected real rate of return is 1.5%, and average inflation expected is 4%. Risk premium is 0. So if I discount 100 rupees, then it will become a 94.79. So my minimum expectation return is 5.5%. So I can buy this T-bill at maximum price of 94.79. If I am paying any price, above the 94.79 means I may not be able to earn my desired return. All are with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Same way, second example I gave, which is in long-term bond. So we know that there is a GSEC bond. So this GSEC bond is offering, just 1 minute. So this GSEC bond is offering, let's say, I assume that the GSEC bond was 10-year bond issued in 2016. Today we are in 2021. So let's say 5 years is completed. And another 5 years is remaining. So suppose if I'm a prospective investor in GSEC bond, I know that that GSEC bond gives me a PMT of 8 rupees per annum starting from 2022, because if I invest right now, I'll get first PMT end of the year. So 5 times I'll get 8 rupees starting from next year, and I'll get future value of 100. Now, same, I expect that risk-free return, I want 1.5 return, risk-free real rate return, I want 1.5%. I expect that expected inflation 4%, but now period is 5 years. So I also count the uncertainty of inflation, because I don't know, there could be a volatility in inflation. So inflation can go up or gone down. So I say that I want 1% more because of inflation. So I say my expected return or my discount rate is 6.5%. And then I find PV of PMT at 6.5%. So I got a price of 106.23. So I say that I'll not pay more than this amount if my expected return is 6.5. Or I can see the other way, any GSEC bond, right now in our country, I'm just taking example. So it must be giving an average YTM of 6.5%, because the consensus estimate is that they want in next 5 years 1.5% real rate of return. They want 5% about because of inflation. So that government has to give YTM 6.5% to the bondholder. So now we have a concept, we know all, there is a concept called interest rate and bond price. So there is an inverse relationship between the interest rate and bond price. Any question right now here?
No, sir.
Fine, sir.
No, sir. Sir, we have derived the present value of the future cash flow, right?
Yes, yes. End of the day, asset valuation is all about PV of PMT oblique FV at the rate of return. Na?
Okay.
At the return comes discount rate.
Okay.
Any other question right now? We are close to complete 1 hour, so maybe chances that it may. I think it is allowed us to continue. Huh? Okay, so what I'd like to do right now, I would like to conclude in next 5-10 minutes, and then we'll take it forward equity from tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock. So now, second option we have key instead of investing into GSEC, we can invest into a corporate bond. Okay, yani ki we invest into private sector bond, and private sector bond can be further divided into two category broadly. One is the investment grade bond, and second is non-investment grade bond. Those who are familiar with rating, they know that ki AAA is the highest rating and BBB is lowest rating in investment grade bond, and non-investment grade bond start with BB to a D rating. So now we have introduced the one more concept of credit spread. Suppose AAA private sector bond is offering a YTM of 8%. Okay, so that YTM of 8% is example, what is the credit spread? So we know that 8% minus GSEC same 5-year bond is 6.5%. So it is a 1.5% is credit spread. Now, why we get a credit spread? Because this is a private sector bond, and private sector bond may default. Probability is there, maybe lower probability, 1%, 2% probability, but may default. Okay, into timely repaying of interest and principal, and chances that you may not basically get the money in time. Okay, so that's the reason there is a probability of NPA. Not in bond investment, it is not about the probability of NPA is like you lost full capital, but you may get a delay your principal and interest payment, or maybe you get a haircut. Everyone is familiar with the concept of haircut, where instead of suppose someone bought a DHFL bond, and suppose there is a resolution is there, and you get as a institutional investor haircut of let's say 50%. So instead of 100 crore rupees investment in bond, you have instead of 100 crore, you get only a let's say 50 lakh rupees, 50 crore only. Now, when you have a BBB bond, so you have a more credit spread, more risk is there because company has a lower credential. Okay, and that's the reason rating agency has given a low rating. Okay, there is a more probability of not paying in time principal and interest. In India, non-investment grade investing is not popular, but in foreign it is popular because it is like a hybrid instrument, investing between equity and debt, combination of equity and debt. So suppose if there is a non-investment grade bond is there, rating having a C, okay, and suppose yield is 15%, so your credit spread is 8.5%. So we have to understand that when we suggest any NCD, what is the practical insight I am going to give you? Suppose if you are suggesting any NCD to the client, okay, NCD or some private bonds, and that private bond is offering you 10% yield, 11% yield, but you have to understand the higher yield, then there is a probability of default of in timely payment of principal and interest, and chances that there is a if there is a default, then there is a probability of haircut. So you must aware that it is not a 100% guarantee of principal and interest. I am not talking about one-to-one case. I am talking from the portfolio perspective. If I have 100 security as a portfolio manager of a private sector bonds, so chances that out of 100, okay, 1 or 2 security may default. Okay, and we have experience in last 2-3 years because of the worsening the economic situation, like in mutual fund example, in Franklin Templeton, Vodafone could not pay in time, so it was earmarked as a separate you can say bad asset within the mutual fund NAV. And when Vodafone paid last year, okay, then Franklin Templeton transferred that particular fund to the unit holder. Okay, same way we know that last year Franklin Templeton issue, because of they were having the consistent high performing fund, but it was more into credit risk fund. Name may be a ABC, okay, but most of were into credit risk, and all of a sudden liquidity dried, all of a sudden risk premium increased, okay, and there was not able to sell in market, okay, and all of a sudden because of regulation, or we don't want to go into detail, but they had to wind up, okay, and today money is not going to for bond investors or a mutual fund investor of Franklin Templeton, you are going to get your money, but it is a delayed because that they not getting in time from the their issuer. So you may get delayed your interest and principal, or delayed payment from the mutual fund. Okay, maybe there could be haircut, and then you get a haircut also. So objective is that when you invest into a bond, you have to understand that you are adding one more factor, which is called a credit spread. So required rate of return for credit risky bond is real risk-free rate of return. Second is inflation, expected inflation. Third is about the your uncertainty of inflation because you are investing 5-10-year bond. And fourth is a credit spread. Any question right now? Any question you would like to discuss? Ask.
Sir, I want to just know one more time this risk spread, how this 1.5% and above AAA risk spread.
It is an example. It is example.
Okay.
Because end of the day, you have to just go and check on the current some website what is current spread is running. Okay. Today I'm going to end the discussion. Tomorrow we'll discuss why credit spread is lower in good time. You know that when there is a good time, low probability of default, low any good time of economy. So credit spread is getting narrowed. Okay, but in bad time, credit spread can go as high 5 to 6% also for even AA or A grade bond also, because of people are risk averse. They are not ready to invest in even in corporate bond of A category A bond. They would like to switch to a fund to a GSEC. But in good time, they know that yes, they are likely to get money because the economy is in good shape. Company will get more debt refinancing from the another investor. So they like to buy a credit risky bond, and that's in good shape of economy. Credit risk bond and credit risk spread is narrow.
Got it.
Okay, so
Sir,
tell me.
So it means you want to say that bonds are also risky.
100%. Bond is anything, any investment you are doing apart from the GSEC. Okay, there is a risk is involved, risk of losing capital, not necessarily a full capital, maybe a part capital if there is a haircut is there.
What is that pi? What is the pi in this?
Pi is expected inflation. It is the nomenclature I have given for the R for real risk-free rate of return, pi for the expected inflation. This is called theta, is called for the uncertainty inflation, and Y for the credit risk spread. So when I say that here I say that suppose, again I just rephrase the discussion. Here we have this data. Okay, in GSEC 5-year bond, I was expecting yield as a fund manager 6.5%, but in corporate bond AAA category, I am expecting 1.5% extra. That 1.5% extra is credit spread, so total is equal to 8%. within that, if bond is in low category, triple B, then I maybe expect 3%. So it is a 6.5 plus 3 is equal to 9.5% expected return or required rate of return.
Got it.
Okay, so today let's conclude the discussion. What I'll do, I'll share you this PPT well in advance. Otherwise, I was thinking to discuss, share it tomorrow because we have not completed full session today because we have invested 20-25 minutes for introduction. And anyone who is missed their introduction, like Sachin is with us, Chetan Shah is with us. Okay, so we'll have an introduction tomorrow. And please understand, I am recording this video. Okay, I am not saying I'll give you tomorrow access of video, but maybe in case if you missed, I'll create some private link, and that link I'll share with you. So in case if you have missed any content, okay, maybe in next saying that immediately I'll be able to do everything. But my intention is that I'll try to give you even a recorded version also. So in case if you want to go through it second time, you can go through it also.
Good, sir.
There
That
is
would
one
help.
request.
Any question right now? Any queries?
There is one, yeah, there is one request actually.
Yes, tell me.
Uh,
Who's online?
Sir, this is Harshat.
Huh?
Harshat.
हाँ बोलिए अर्षद जी.
Sir, a few concepts shared today. They were qualitative aspect, but few of us heard it first time in the life, so we are not really aware of it.
So I
So
said in starting only na case it is not necessary everyone understand that high level of concept, but this is like that. Suppose today you have introduced, then you have to do research and value reading. You already took CFA level 1 book from me, na, but you didn't get time to read it. So once your
Yes, sir.
training is completed, Arshad ji, you can start reading that book you have taken from me. So
Yes, sir, and also few concepts in rush I couldn't get 100%.
so
If you share the recording, I will again see the recording. I will read and then maybe I can link.
yes, so recording also may help. And again, when I'm talking about post training, maybe next week you start looking for some kind of you do a research. Let's say, example, credit risk spread, and you just
Yes,
type in Google and go through it. What is it mentioned? Read articles on that. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that's how.
Yeah,
It is like
or the PMT calculation of PV 6.5%. That we have
you need
to.
to enroll for training, na CFP training. That is cannot be even learned through. If it is available on Google, you can do it. Okay, but again, objective is that it is just kind of one thought process I'm introducing, which can help you to be a one step better than what you are today. So I thank you very much, all participants to join. So I request tomorrow also you can join same time. Okay, maybe 6:55 tomorrow. I'll share the link. So we'll keep 1 hour tomorrow. So we'll invest qualitative 1 hour time. Okay, and progress in our journey. Thank you. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir,
you.
for your
Thank you.
valuable insights. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.